Most people that I work with or speak to seem to have a pattern going on in their mind. Either they're trying to recreate pleasure or they're trying to avoid pain. Most people go back and forth between those efforts for most of their life. Because we're thinking that way, we're not able to become fully present, because the recreation of pleasure or the avoidance of pain is based on the past. So we're connected in that way to the past. Because we're trying to recreate pleasure or avoid pain, we associate behaviors from the past with times that we've been able to achieve those goals. Behaviors from the past include our food choices. Anytime as a child you ate something that made you feel better, that brought ease into your life, on a deep psychological level, your body registered, this creates pleasure. Let's do this again. And a pattern begins. In order to break out of that pattern, one has to take a good look at their connection to the past choices that they've made, the past connections that they've had around certain kinds of food. Let me give you a specific example. My grandmother made the best meatballs and spaghetti of all time. When I went to her home, what she showered me in was so much love, so much belonging. She literally held me and figuratively held me in her arms. And my childhood is replete with beautiful memories of having her spaghetti and meatballs. I called her Nanny. Nanny, make your spaghetti and meatballs for me, right? To this day, even though I feel that those foods are no longer what I would choose to eat because they're not helpful to me, I still remember Nanny when I think of spaghetti or I think of meatballs. And I have noticed that in times of stress in my life, I have defaulted to pasta as a food choice at that moment, always defaulting back to pasta. Why? Because a memory was created around my grandmother, a beautiful and kind and loving and connected memory, and it affects my behavior as an adult decades later. This is what we're dealing with when we think about the insidiousness of our food choices, of addictive food choices. There's always a story there. There's always something behind it. And to break out of those stories so that you can be free and become fully present now as an adult, I have to think back and I have to say, oh, there is a sweetness there for me. How in my life today am I maybe missing a sweetness where I would default into this behavior to try to get back to the memory of that sweetness then? This is very powerful work. This changes the way that a person looks at themselves and looks at food. And as you hopefully begin to realize, this goes a lot further beyond just, oh, I'm having this food, or, oh, I'm in this habit of eating this way. You begin to unlock some of the stories and you begin to find your freedom.